Hello, guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Vijeta, and today we will be continuing with the Canterbury Tales. Last time we stopped at discussing Geoffrey Chaucer, so we shall begin by this. And once again, I would like you all to please subscribe to my channel if you like my content. And without much further ado, let us begin. So, the next character in the Canterbury Tales is Geoffrey Chaucer. So, Geoffrey Chaucer is the author, obviously, who puts himself into this poem as a retiring, mild mannered person. And then we come to the canon. The canon is a traveler who joins the pilgrims briefly on the road to Canterbury. He leaves when it is hinted that he is a cheating alchemist. So you see this thing about people being dishonest and revealing them to the public is what Chaucer is doing in this work, showing human frailty and human dishonesty. Yeah. Now we come to the canon's yeoman. The canon's yeoman remains with the pilgrim company and tells an anecdote about an alchemist, a canon like his master, who swindles a priest. Now let us come to the tales. First of all, we'll start with the Knight's Tale. It is based on Boccaccio's Tessida, and the story begins by Theseus, Duke of Athens, who has just conquered Amazon and married Hippolyta and returned to Athens. He's like returning to Athens. While returning, he is encountered by the grieving widows of Thebes, whose husbands were killed in the war of Thebes by King Creon, king of Thebes. King Creon refused to give them the dead bodies, so Theseus was touched by pathos and kills Creon and destroys Thebes and restores the pile of bodies to the widows. Two of them in the pile of bodies were alive, actually. They were seriously injured, but they were not dead, apparently. One is Palamon and another is Arcite, and they are cousin brothers. Duke Theseus orders to push them in prison. While in prison, Palamon sees Emily, a charming, beautiful, and attractive sister of Hippolyta, through the back window, and she falls in love. Basically, like he falls in love with Emily. Soon Arcite also got up and sees Emily, and he also fell in love with her. Arcite was ransomed by his friend and he was rescued. Now what happens is that Duke Theseus banished him from Athens, but apparently he disguises as a page boy for Emily and walks in Emily's chamber secretly. Now, poor Palamon escapes from prison, and they both, Palamon and Arcite, meet in a forest. Duke Theseus caught them while going for hunting and commanded them to be killed, but kind Hippolyta requests Duke not to do so. So yeah, I think I repeated the slide. Sorry for that. Now, a deal is made by Theseus. Both the convict should collect 100 soldiers and fight. The winner will get Emily as their wife. Okay. The Palamon prays to Venus, goddess of love, and Arcite prays to Mars, god of war, while Emily prays to Diana, goddess of chastity and maidenness. I think there's a spelling typo error there. It's Maiden, maidenness. Okay. So the war begins and Mars gives victory to Arcite as he earlier whispered victory. Goddess Venus cries to his father Saturn as she got defeated. Now Saturn orders Earth to shake the horse on which Arcite was riding and threw him away, and therefore Arcite dies. Now Venus won and Palamon get Emily's hand, as Arcite finally wished them to marry, and then they lived happily ever after. So the knight is socially the most prominent person on the pilgrimage, epitomizing chivalry, truth, and honor. He stands apart from the other pilgrims because of his dignity and honor. So that's quite a nice tale of chivalry and bravery, and it kind of shows the personality of the knight as well. Remember, all these characters who are telling you this story, they are in a way showing their personality as well. They are showcasing their personality through their tales. The kind of story and the kind of words a person speaks can tell a lot about their personality. So, yeah, now we come to the miller. Now, the host asks the monk to tell the next tale, but the drunken miller apparently interrupts and insists that his tale should be the next. Now, the tale begins. There was a foolish carpenter named John who had a beautiful wife named Alison. Now, Nicholas is a young scholar of astrology. He's another character, and he's rusty and he covets the lovely Alison. One day, when John was not at home, Nicholas seduced Alison, and first she resisted, but she finally agreed. So, yeah, that is something. She is now worried that if her husband finds this out, he will kill her. So, Nicholas makes a plan for it. Nicholas lies to John that there will be great floods tomorrow, like Noah's flood. So, he orders John to tie the three tubs to the beam of ceiling with rope and fill the tub with food so that they can escape when the flood comes, the great flood. Now, John is kind of foolish, so does that, and at night he climbs into the tub and he falls like dead asleep. The two, Alison and Nicholas, get out of the tub and they spend the night together. Absalom, a parish clerk, not parish clerk, it's parish clerk. I think it's a clerk. I think there is a small typo. It's a parish clerk he has also been wooing Alison. Apparently, Alison is some kind of a belle of the county, so a lot of people like her and they are attracted to her. While Nicholas and Alison were enjoying, Absalom saw this and asked Alison to kiss him, but she insulted him. But when the second time he asked for a kiss, Nicholas showed his back and Absalom gets pissed off and applies hot poker on Nicholas's back, and Nicholas shouted, "Water, water." So it's kind of a crude, funny tale, as you can see from the nature of it. Hearing of water, John is like asleep, but when he hears water, water, he gets up and he thinks that the great flood has arrived, and he cuts the rope of the tub and he falls down and breaks his legs. So yeah, it's kind of a funny, crude tale that is been described here. So you can see like Chaucer had a variety of stories, and he had a way with words, I suppose. So yeah, it's kind of a funny tale. Now we come to the Reeve's tale. So the miller tells the tale about a carpenter, and as Reeve was also doing carpentry, he takes Miller's tale as offensive because he finds that tale very offensive, and he counters with his own tale of a dishonest miller. So in a way, they are both attacking each other now. So Reeve tells the story of two students named John and Alan. So yeah, they're having these little discussions. They go to the miller to watch him grinding their corn so that he can't steal their corn with his golden thumb. Miller unties their horse, and while they chase it, he steals some of the flour he had just grinded for them. By the time those students, they catch the horse, it turns dusk. Dusk time arrives, and they spend the night in the miller's house. It's twilight, and night was coming in, so they decide to spend the night in Miller's house. That night, Alan seduces Miller's daughter, while John seduces Miller's wife. You see, another crude tale, you can say. When Miller wakes up and finds out what has happened, he tries to beat the students. His wife, thinking that her husband is actually one of the students, hits Miller over the head with a staff. The students take back their corn and they leave. So that was the tale. Now we come to the cook, the cook's prologue and tale. Now the cook is named Roger. It's a important question. Just mark it down. The cook enjoys the reeve's tale and offers to tell another funny tale. So they are having quite a nice time. So much so for people going on a pilgrimage, they are actually telling some of the tales which are not quite holy, it seems. Anyways, the tale is about an apprentice named Perkin who drinks and dances so much that he is called Perkin's Reveler. Finally, Perkin's master decides to leave the apprentice as he was corrupting other servants too. Perkin, Perkin decides to stay with a friend who loves drinking and gambling, and he had a wife who was also a prostitute. The tale breaks off after 58 lines. Like, this story is unfinished, but from the nature of the tale, you can see that it was also on the lines of that crude humor that has been exercised by the Reeve before. So, yeah. Now, the prologue and the tale of the man of law. The host, Harry Bailey, reminds his fellow pilgrims to waste no time because lost time cannot be regained. He asks the man of law to tell the next tale. The man of law apologizes that he can't tell any suitable tale that Chaucer has not already told. Chaucer may be unskilled as a poet, says the man of law, but he has told more stories of lovers than Ovid, and he does not print tales of incest as John Gower does. So, yeah, that's a little bit of a remark, one can say, critical remark, a mockery, I suppose. In the prologue, the man of law laments the miseries of poverty and remarks how fortunate merchants are and says that his tale is the one which is told to him by a merchant. So, yeah, the man of law thinks that some people are more privileged. In the tale, the Muslim Sultan of Syria converts his entire sultanate to Christianity in order to persuade the Emperor of Rome to give him his daughter Constance in marriage. The Sultan's mother and her attendants remained faithful to Islam. Yeah, we have some variety here. The mother tells her son that she wishes to hold a banquet for him and all the Christians. At the banquet, she murders the son and all the Christians except Constance, who sets adrift in a rudderless ship. After years of floating, Constance runs ashore in Northumberland, where a constable and his wife, Hermengild, I think it's called Hermengild, offers her some kind of a shelter. She converts them to Christianity. Yes, it's kind of a religious tale, I suppose. One night, Satan makes a young knight to sneak into Hermengild's chamber and murders her, and places the bloody knife next to Constance, who sleeps in the same chamber. Now, when the constable returns home accompanied by Allah, the king of Northumberland, he finds his slain wife. He tells Allah the story of how Constance was found, and Allah begins to pity Constance. So now what he does is he decides to look more deeply into the murder. Just as the knight who murdered Hermengild is swearing that Constance is the true murderer, at the same time he is struck down and his eyes burst out of his face, proving his guilt to Allah and the crowd. I think there is this mistake. It's guilt, not guilty. Now the convict knight is executed, obviously. Allah and many others are converted to Christianity, and Constance and Allah marry. While Allah was away in Scotland, Constance gave birth to a baby boy named Mauritius. Allah's mother, Donegild, intercepts a letter from Constance to Allah and substitutes a counterfeit one that claims that the child is disfigured and bewitched. So yeah, the mother plays a part here, I suppose, a villainous part. She then intercepts Allah's reply, which claims that the child should be kept and loved no matter how malformed. Donegild substitutes a letter saying that Constance and his son are banished and they should be sent away on some on some ship on the same ship actually on which in which Constance arrived. So yeah, the mother is doing some mischief here. Allah returns home and finds out what happened, and he kills his mother, Donegild. After many adventures at sea, including an attempted rape, Constance ends up back in Rome where she reunites with Allah, who has made a pilgrimage there to atone for his killing mother. She also reunites with her father, the emperor. Allah and Constance return to England, but unfortunately, Allah dies after a year. So Constance returns to Rome once again. Mauritius becomes the next Roman emperor. So yeah, that was quite a tale. Quite adventurous and full of twists and turns. And its echo can be heard in many of the contemporary fantasy tales that we hear. So yeah, you can see that how rich Canterbury Tales is in its plot and in its stories. Anyway, now we come to the wife of Bath's prologue and her tale. Now the host asks the parson to tell the next tale, but the parson reproaches him for swearing, and they fall to bickering. Now the wife of Bath is characterized as gape-toothed, not I think it's gape-toothed, somewhat deaf, and wearing bright scarlet red stockings. Her last husband was half her age. And the wife of Bath, Alison, she gives a lengthy, her name is Alison actually. And please keep that in mind. This question also comes a lot. I have seen that in some UGC NET PYQs. Alison gives a lengthy account of her feelings about marriage. Quoting from the Bible, the wife argues against those who believe that it is wrong to marry more than once. And she explains how she dominated and controlled each of her 5 husbands. So you can see the wife of Bath is quite a strong character, more on the lines of a femme fatale, which is quite interesting. I mean, this tale is so old, and it's generally believed that women were so submissive, and but here we see another side of women and another way of portraying women. So you can see that a lot of things, a lot of works that we think are old and they are outdated, they also contain some things that can be relatable even in today's day and age. She married her 5th husband, Jankin, for love instead of money. Like, she kind of, I mean, if you say that she is like Alan's mother from that show called like Two and a Half Men, I think, or Becky Sharp, like she's like that. She's like Becky Sharp from Vanity Fair, and all these femme fatale characters that we see a lot. After the wife has rambled on for a while, the friar butts in to complain that she is taking too long. And the summoner retorts that friars are like flies who are always meddling. So the friar promises to tell a tale about a summoner, and the summoner promises to tell a tale about friar. We both know that they are going to attack each other in these tales. The host tries to calm down and allow the wife to tell her tale. He intercepts. It's tries, not cries. A little typo. So yeah, now the tale begins. In the court of King Arthur, a young knight rapes a maiden. To atone for his crime, Arthur's queen sends him on a quest to discover what women want the most. An ugly old woman promises the knight that she will tell him the secret if he promises to do whatever she wants for saving his life. He agrees, and she tells him that women want most to control their husbands and their own lives. They go together to Queen Arthur, and the old woman's answer turns out to be correct. So yeah, you can see. The old woman tells the knight that he must marry her. Now the knight confesses later that he's repulsed by her appearance, and she gives him a choice that she can either be faithful and ugly or beautiful and unfaithful. The knight tells her to make the choice herself. Now the knight is like, yeah, you make the choice yourself. And she rewards him for giving her control of the marriage by rendering herself both beautiful and faithful. So yeah, the knight was smart, I suppose. Or maybe he just thought that either way it is hopeless. We'll never know, but it's quite a clever tale if you think about it. And it sounds quite modern in some ways, quite progressive. Anyways, now we come to the friar's prologue and tale. Hubbard, I think it's Hubbard. Hubbard. You can actually check the spelling. Hubbard, the friar is a sensual, licentious man who seduces young girls and then arranges their marriages. He loves money and knows the taverns better than the poorhouses. Now, the friar's scarf was stuffed full of knives and brooches to give to pretty women. He always had gifts. The friar speaks approvingly of the wife of Bart's tale and offers to lighten things up for the company by telling a funny story about a lecherous summoner. See, attacking the summoner. So, yeah. The summoner does not reject but promises to pay the prior back in his own tale. The friar tells of an archdeacon who carries out law without mercy, especially to lechers. The archdeacon has a summoner who has a network of spies working for him to let him know who has been lecherous. The summoner extorts money from those whom he is sent to summon, and he charges them more money than he should for the penance, which is quite ironical, seeing that this thing also happens in a lot of places in a lot of different ways. Anyways, he tries to serve he tries to serve summons on a yeoman who is actually a devil in disguise. So yeah, he wants to serve a sermon actually, not a summons, a sermon to a yeoman. There is a typo there, and actually the yeoman is a devil in disguise. After comparing notes on their treachery and extortion, the devil vanishes. But when the summoner tries to prosecute an old, wealthy widow unfairly, she cries out that the summoner should be taken to hell. The devil follows the woman's instruction and lays the summoner to hell. It's woman's, okay? MAN. Now, summoner's prologue and tale. The summoner is an officer of the church who calls people for a church trial. He's as ugly as his profession. It is written in the book itself. He frightens children with his red complexion, pimples and boils, and skin infected with scales. Yeah, we have quite a description here. Now the summoner is obviously furious at the friar's tale and asks the company to let him tell the next tale. We know what is coming here. First, he tells the company that there is little difference between friars and friends. I think friars and fiends, I'm not sure. I think it should be friar and fiends because obviously the summoner is trying to attack the friar. You can check it. I am sure though that it is fiends. Anyways, let us read. When an angel took a friar down to hell to show him the torments there, the friar asked why there were no friars in hell. The angel then pulled up Saturn's tail and 20,000 friars came out of his ass. So yeah, that is something. The tale begins now. A friar begs for money from a dying man named Thomas and his wife who have recently lost their child. Now this is the tale told by the summoner. He is obviously trying to attack the friar. The friar shamelessly exploits the couple's misfortunes to extract money from them. So Thomas tells friar that he's working on something that he will bequeath to the friar. The friar reaches for his bequest and Thomas lets out an enormous fart. The friar complains to the Lord of Manor, whose squire is required to promise to divide the feast evenly among all the friars. Now there's a quote by Chaucer. The summoner would lend his concubine or lend his mistress to anyone for a quart of wine. He loved garlic in special. This is an oft quoted quote, so just remember this. So yeah, the summoner was kind of funny here. We need to start with the clerk's prologue and tale, but I think, yeah, we can do the clerk's prologue and tale, although it will be a little bit too much. So yeah, I will stop here for now, and I hope you liked the lecture. I am glad of people who have listened, who have come till here, and they were a little minor typos, but I think I will correct them. Other than that, I hope you gained something from the lecture, and I will I will continue the lecture in the next class as well. Thank you so much for listening. If you have any comments, the comments section is open. Like my channel, like my video, please, if you liked it, and subscribe to my channel. And I will meet you all in the next video. Thank you.